I want to come out categorically to advise His Excellency that library is not what he, as a former president, would need to promote his legacy. Building a library in Minna will be a dusty monument. Addressing you personally now, because I know you personally. I see you as a very courageous man. People have been accusing you of killing Mama Vasa, and then they have been accusing you of truncating June 12. Let me tell you this, I never believed that of June 12, although I was skeptical about that of Mama Vasa. That rather than waste money to go and build a library, it will be better if you can use that money in a way that will promote your legacy, generate jobs for people in Minna, that would promote industrial manufacturing in Nigeria. I would like to say a big congratulations to our former military president, General Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida, on this new book about his journey in service. I understand that a lot of dignitaries from Nigeria and beyond attended the occasion, and they were able to raise about 17 billion naira at a minimum. I'm sure eventually they will raise more than that. And the purpose, from what I understand, is to assist our president, former president, to build a library. I want to come out categorically to advise His Excellency that library is not what he, as a former president, would need to promote his legacy. It is not what he needs to support the people of Minna or Niger State. It is not what he needs to support Nigeria or the black race. Why do I say that? Yes, you hear that American President John F. Kennedy built a library. You will hear that Ronald Reagan built a library. Even Bill Clinton, it was a tradition. And even in Nigeria here, you will also hear that former military president and civilian president, General Olusegun Obasanjo, also built a library in Ota. The question you ask yourself is, how many people go to the Ota to go and read something in the library? I want to tell you that the days of libraries are over. Library is now an antiquity. Building a library in Minna will be a dusty monument to a bad idea. Rather, what can you use that 17 billion and more to do in Minna, a city that I know you love so much? Because I'm addressing you personally now, because I know you personally. And I see you as a very courageous man, somebody who was able to participate in all the successful coups in Nigeria and be able to manage a delicate place like Nigeria for over 80 years in power. I've said it many times, and I mentioned it to you many times when I visited you, that you are a man of courage, a man full of dexterity and wisdom. You are very courageous. I remember before you left power, I invited you to come and commission 2 factories. One was built by my father, and the other one was built by me. So you arrived in my community, Egba, largest wood industrial complex in Africa that I built. And your protocol officer says it is already dark It is not safe. And I said, Your Excellency, I'll be much obliged if you can help me. You can do that for me. And he said, where is it? I said, that way. He said, how far? I said, 1 kilometer. And he said, let's go. And I rode with you in a car. That was an act of bravery. And I continue to admire you for such courage. And you know what? Let me quickly say this. People have been accusing you of killing Mama Vasa, and then they have been accusing you of truncating June 12. Let me tell you this, I never believed that of June 12, although I was skeptical about that of Mama Vasa. So let me talk about June 12. I watched a video clip by Professor Humphrey Wonsu, when he said that when they had collated the results, it was remaining Taraba. And people went and stopped the process. You now called for a meeting. You were in the meeting, Wonsu was in the meeting, General Abacha, who became head of state of Nigeria, was in attendance. You have Ali Gusso was in attendance. David Mark was in attendance, and some other top military officers. These were people that helped you to carry out all the coups that you did. So they were your henchmen. He said at that meeting, you know, as Mr. Commissioner, do you have your results? And he said yes. I said, okay, can you give us your results? And then people like Abacha that said, no, they have their objections. He said you were the only one that supported that they should go ahead and make announcement about the results. And he said that your top military people, they were opposed to it. You are a very intelligent man. You knew that if you insisted, the next thing you were going to hear is fellow countrymen, and your life would have been at stake. Even the life of Abiola himself would have been at stake. You said so in your book. But people who are mischievous, they continue to go around with the propaganda that you annulled June 12th. You took responsibility as the president. And I know that one of the reasons why you allowed things to slide by is that General Abacha had always been very loyal to you. He supported you in all the coups. Even when Gideon Oka tried to overthrow you, it was Abacha that stopped that coup. He could have even organized to kill you so that he can take over. So you are a man that is full of gratitude. You remembered all those things. And my mind tells me that you had that at the back of your mind when you tolerated all the shenanigans of your top military men. So I recognize that in you. It's evidence of gratitude and expressing loyalty to people that were kind to you. Very illustrious about you. You have courage and you have intelligence. I want to appeal to your intelligence. That rather than waste money to go and build a library where you will not find anybody to read, it will be better if you can use that money wisely in a way that it would serve a purpose that will promote your legacy, generate jobs for people in Mina, that would in many ways benefit Nigeria and will be the beginning of a very great undertaking that would promote industrial manufacturing in Nigeria, starting from Mina, in Nigeria and beyond. The black race is far, far behind all the other races. We are behind the Caucasian race, we are behind the Asians, whether you talk about the Indians or the Japanese or the Chinese. We are even behind the Arabs. We are the last in the ladder. The very bottom, the abyss of humanity. Why? Because we do not contribute to the development of mankind industrially. I am not saying that black people are not intelligent. Yes, black people have achieved many things under white leadership in Europe and in America. But here in Africa, we have not been able to manage ourselves to a point where we will now be in a position to manufacture from zero what we consume. Think about it, Your Excellency. Is there any product that is manufactured in Nigeria, made in Nigeria by Nigerians? The answer is no. We don't have any product. If you look in your house, whether it's your television, whether it's your microwave, your telephone, solar system, generator, anything you can imagine, nothing is produced in Africa or in Nigeria by Nigeria. When you were military president, I didn't have this idea that I'm about to disclose to you. So I'm not criticizing you. I'm not criticizing anybody that was president in the past. What I'm saying now is that we have new ideas that can give us a lift-off industrially in Africa so that we can contribute to the development of mankind. So how is this going to be possible? Very briefly, before I talk about other things, you made some achievement yourself while you were in power. Of course, you were the one that completed the third mainland bridge. You built dams in the north. You built some highways in the north. But what we are talking about, it's not just bridges and roads. What we are talking about is industrialization. That is, to take raw material and produce a finished product that can be useful here in Nigeria, to Nigerians. Imagine, for example, if you can start something in Mina, because I visited you in Mina on multiple occasions, and I saw the infrastructure that you developed there. More than any other president, you made effort to develop your city and your state. More than any other president, by far, not even close. So in that regard, you are number one. But those infrastructure are not transforming the lives of the people of Mina or Niger State or Nigeria. Why do I say that? You have good roads, you have overhead bridges, but what is the way of life there? People of Niger State, people of Mina, they produce raw material, they produce rice in large quantity, they produce millets and other sorghum and all these other products. But that is where it ends. Can they make solar phone in Mina? No. Can they make solar panel in Mina? No. What can they make in Mina? Nothing. Just agricultural products. So I want to share an idea with you. When you were president, I didn't have this idea. If I had it, I would have been in a haste to meet you. And I know you being somebody that is very, very intelligent, you would have been able to lash into the idea and use it. But I didn't have the idea. But now that I have the idea, and I heard that people have come to donate money to you, I don't want you to make the mistake of going to put 17 billion or more into a library that nobody will go to. For example, your new book, A Journey in Service, as soon as it was launched, it appeared on my telephone, it appeared on my computer, and within 2 or 3 days, I read about 6 chapters that are relevant. So I have no reason to go to your library. I saw your pictures, I saw the pictures of your father and your sister, I saw the pictures of you and how you started Bida Secondary School, your relationship with former military head of state, Abdul Salami, and all the other relationships, your marriage picture, everything is right there. I didn't have to go to Mina to see it, or any library for that matter. And so that is the way it is. The library is now in the past. Just the way our landline that we call analog telephone is now consigned to the dustbin of history. Nobody talks about landline anymore because there is a better system, the GSM. And that is the way it is now. Nobody is going to that library. So put this money to good use. What you didn't do when you were president, here is an opportunity for you to do it. Because before I close, I will talk about one president that made effort to industrialize Nigeria. Great effort. And this message is not only to you, it is to all the former presidents and the sitting president. Because I believe in Nigeria. I believe that Nigeria can be great. The potentials are there. We have all the raw material that we need. The most important of all, which is not crude oil, but gas. Number 1 in gas in Africa. At this point, let me go straight to the subject. It is possible to manufacture solar panel in Mina. It is possible to manufacture ceramic tiles in Mina. It is possible to manufacture GSM telephones in Mina. As a matter of fact, it is possible to manufacture everything in Mina because it is now possible to have a way of generating electricity within 6 months, sufficient electricity to power an industrial establishment. And you don't have to break the bank to do it. For example, there's a turbine manufactured by General Electric. It is called TM, which stands for Trailer Mounted Turbine. That plant, if you buy a second hand of it, it is available at $1,450,000 US. And that plant can generate 22 to 32 megawatts of electricity. Imagine if you have 10 of that. If you take the minimum of 22, you already have 220 megawatts of power. If you buy 20, you're already having close to 450 megawatts of power. All synchronized on top of a trailer. To build a plant of 450 megawatts in the old-fashioned way, it will take you a minimum of 6 years. But this can be done now within 6 months. Imagine if you can bring that to Mina. The next question you should ask yourself is there a gas line passing through Mina? The answer is probably no. There's one close by. The problem of Nigeria is that we depend only on oil. And the solution to the problem of Nigeria is for us to be able to get involved in industrial manufacturing, starting with having sufficient electricity. And know this, very clear. People may not want to accept it, but the only thing that is true or good about science is that it is true, whether you believe it or not. I want to tell you this. That plant that Dangote built in Lekki to produce refined petroleum products, or the fertilizer plant, or the cement factory, can be built here in Nigeria if you have the machinery. Everything about it can be built here in Nigeria if you have the machinery. And the beginning is to have sufficient electricity. You can start that in Minna. And for me to conclude this conversation, I want to mention to you that the man that you helped to overthrow, President Shehu Shagari, is the only one that made any effort, meaningful effort, to attempt to manufacture goods in Nigeria or to industrialize Nigeria. It's just that he put everything in the hands of government. For example, Shagari completed the Kaduna refinery. Shagari built Ajaokuta steel complex to 85%, and it has stopped where he stopped when he was overthrown in 1983. That's where the plant is now. Although that plant can never be successful because it is a blast furnace. Once you put on a blast furnace, you can never put it off. The moment you put it off, you have to start all over again. So since they put that blast furnace there, they have never put it on one day. I've said it before, our iron content is too poor. But we can go ahead and industrialize by importing iron ingots from Turkey, from Ukraine, from Australia. So he built Ajaokuta steel plant. It was an effort on him, on his part, thinking that if we have that, we can begin the process of industrial manufacturing. Now, when he did that, he realized they made a mistake with the blast furnace. He now built electric arc in Alaja, Delta Steel Complex. He did that. He did not stop there. He went and did Just Rolling Mill. He did Katsina Rolling Mill. He did Oshogbo Rolling Mill. He did not stop there. He did Star Diesel in Bauchi. He did Fiat in Kaduna also. He did Anamco in Enugu, Anambra State. He did Volkswagen of Nigeria in Lagos, and did Peugeot Automobile also in Oyo State. One man did all these things. And then he did the Nigerian machine tools, which is the machine that after melting iron, you can use to make other machines. He did all these things. What I'm telling you now is that if I was president when you were president, I would have done worse. If I was president when President Obasanjo was president, I would have done worse. But today, with the knowledge that we have, that is why I am not a social critic. I am a solution provider. I'm trying to provide solutions to the industrial manufacturing problems of Nigeria. And I've come as an industrialist myself. I've come to ascertain that the primary problem of Nigeria is insufficient electricity. Imagine Nigeria last year at the height, we produced only about 5,000 megawatts. South Africa generated about 75,000 megawatts. Egypt, about 70,000 megawatts. Nigeria, with a population of 250 million people, did only about 5,000 megawatts. And this year, I don't think we have even been able to get to 4,000 megawatts. It is insufficient. And the only way we'll be able to develop Africa, because Nigeria is the key to the emancipation of the black race. If we can get it right in Nigeria, the whole of Africa will get it right. And then we'll start to earn respect All the manufacturing you are seeing happening in Nigeria today, industrial manufacturing, whether somebody is going to melt iron to make iron rods, is done by Chinese. If you are going to produce ceramic tiles, it's done by Chinese. If you are going to melt sand to produce glass, it's done by Chinese. But like I said in my book, the ABC of how to industrialize Nigeria, there's no country in the world that was industrialized by foreigners. All the countries that you see that were industrialized were done by their indigenes. Because the Chinese don't have any interest to come and manufacture finished product here. Their interest is to manufacture finished product in China and bring them to Nigeria. So when they say they are making ceramic tiles, all the raw material they get from here is only clay. The other compounds, they import them. We as black people, we as Nigerians, because we are very, very effervescent, we have the courage, we have the willpower. If we can start producing sufficient electricity and we have the factory that can produce some of these finished products, we bring in expatriates that will work with us and teach us how to do it for a few years. Within 3-4 years, which is within your own lifespan, now you are in your early 80s or so, God will give you longevity. So within your lifetime, you will see that products can be made from sand, from iron, and make finished products. You won't believe it. An aeroplane is just 95% aluminum. We should be able to manufacture aluminum here. And by the way, it was also Shagari that built Nigeria's smelting plant, aluminum smelting plant in Kota Abasi. That man did all these things, just a grade 2 teacher. He did all these things many, many years ago. And since then, nothing has happened. It's a wake-up call to all our leaders that I am not criticizing anybody. If I was there, I wouldn't have done any better. But with the knowledge that we have now, to be unfair to us, to be unfair to our children, to our grandchildren, and to your own grandchildren and great-grandchildren also, that we are not able to take advantage of the available technology that will give us industrial liftoff. We need that in Africa. And I want to tell you, Your Excellency, if you want me to pay you another visit, like I have always done before, to discuss this issue further in details, I'll be very happy to do that. Because I don't want you to end up in the dustbin of history by building a library that only lizards will visit. God bless you, God bless Nigeria, God bless Africa, and may God give us the will. Allah should give us the courage to embrace hard decisions that can bring industrial development, industrial manufacturing to Nigeria, so that we can now start to contribute to the development of mankind. People complain all the time that white people came to disturb us. The question you should ask yourself, could we have gone to Europe to disturb them? The answer is no. Because we didn't have the technology at that time. And to this day, we still do not have the technology. It is time for us to wake up. God bless you, Your Excellency. And God bless Nigeria. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to come out categorically to advise His Excellency that library is not what he, as a former president, would need to promote his legacy. Building a library in Minna will be a dusty monument. Addressing you personally now, because I know you personally, I see you as a very courageous man. People have been accusing you of killing Mama Vasa, and then they have been accusing you of truncating June 12. Let me tell you this, I never believed that of June 12, although I was skeptical about that of Mama Vasa. That rather than waste money to go and build a library, it will be better if you can use that money in a way that will promote your legacy, generate jobs for people in Minna, that would promote industrial manufacturing in Nigeria.